Brother Duli, can you start by introducing yourself for me?
Yeah, my name is Brother Duli. Yeah, brother. Yeah.
What do you do? Tell me about the work you do.
Well, I do. I deal with natural medicine. Yeah, natural medicine from the earth. Plant medicine, different things of that nature, energy healing work, different things. Yeah.
Do you consider yourself a shaman?
Nope. Yeah, I mean, I don't like titles to tell you the truth. People just, people sometimes throw on titles to you, but yeah, yeah, this is Brother Duli, and it's just learning certain things that our ancestors taught us. So yeah, yeah,
So every time that I come across you, you're working. You're
yeah.
doing the work. You're handing out medicine. You are doing the work. So I'm just curious as to someone who is beginning that journey myself to become a medicine woman and a medicine carrier and a medicine explorer and a student teacher. Help me out. Give me some advice. Like, how do you do this? You seem to have this
Well,
deeper connection.
I don't think it's a deeper connection or anything. It's everyone's birthright, right. Everyone has their birthright to be connected to their higher self. Everyone has their birthright to be able to have their own gifts bestowed upon them. That's everyone's. I think the biggest thing, like sometimes we make this spiritual thing and all these things really more complicated than it is sometimes. My mom was a deep woman, and she would always focus on the love. You know what I mean? She would focus on the heart. That's something I know about my mama, and from that place in the heart, that it opens up all the other pathways, all the doors, all the different things that are naturally a part of a person. So I think when you just deal with sincerity of the heart, everything else fall in place. I don't know if y'all want to use the chair, but yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think those things just start to gravitate towards people, the people that you need to meet to help you on your path. All these other things that just start to come into your life because you're living by nature's law now, which to me is being in harmonizing with yourself. Being in harmony with yourself.
That's so
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. But for myself, my path started. Again, I have to give credit to my parents, because they was the ones that really inspired me, to get into this stuff, and then doing more work on myself, I started to see some of my past lives. So that's where I started to see where we pick up where we leave off. You know what I mean? So it's like, especially like this past like 3-4 years when I started getting more into the psychic surgery thing, that was something no one taught me. That was just something just started to come more to me, and it was just some shit like memory from other past lives. So it's like the songs, the healing songs that come out when I'm working with someone. And at first you might think it's like gibberish. At first you might think this shit ain't real, whatever. But when the first time was about 5 years ago or so, the woman had these big lumps on her feet, and she had these lumps on her feet for about 8 years, and the foot doctors and them, they couldn't help her, right? And it was with the aid of the mushroom and being in a trance-like state, and then having my background dealing with Qigong, Tai Chi, all the internal arts that deal with energy work, that shit just kicked in even more, with my, with years of just learning how to breathe properly, you know what I mean?
Speaking of your dedication, I'm very curious about what your opinion is about. Okay, so social media has had a really big impact on spirituality. It has become very trendy to be into the crystals, and spiritual capitalism and real, and self-initiation is a thing now.
Right.
And I'm just curious, how can the people who are putting in the work and putting in the hours, I almost want to say, how can we mitigate this? Like, what can we do about this?
Well, it's becoming very commercialized. My father told me this years ago. You know, he's like, yeah, they're gonna co-opt all this stuff. You know, and it's like a it's like a double-edged sword, because there's a part of me that wants to see people interested in these things, right? But you want it to be authentic. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
and decolonized.
yeah. So it's like back in the day, it was only a few of us, and that's how it was in every hood across America. You know what I mean? It's usually about maybe a handful that you might find in your hood. You know what I mean? Of brothers or sisters that might have knowledge yourself. You know, so it's like back in the day was different before social media, because you know you had some of the OGs that really cared about some of the youth in the hood. You know what I mean? So cats that a lot of 5%ers that I came up with, a lot of Nuwabians, a lot of these different people that were striving to understand themselves. You know what I mean? And some of these brothers were hustling ass niggas, but they still had a sense of their history, where their people came from, all these other things. And that's what really had me, as a youngin', respect these dudes, you know what I mean? But everything else is like when I met y'all father, you know, I'm Baba Kalindi, that was like, to me, I was already on the mushrooms and doing all this stuff before I met their dad. So like that, like I was looking for someone that was already in that lane, speaking that type of language. So for me, I was like, oh, this shit is ill. You know what I mean? Because it's like I feel like the psychedelics is like the icing on the cake. That's like the keys. Now you have the keys to unlock what's really inside of us. You know what I mean? And that's why I seen when them bubbles, when them big ass lumps on that woman's foot, when it dissolved and just like disappeared, I was like, oh shit, we got fucking superpowers in this bitch. You know what I mean? And because it just disappeared. It was like before, and I knew what to do. It was like the mushroom was showing me. It's like, okay, send energy in this way. Go, and only thing I could see is like it going in like a laser and having this ripple effect, until I'm seeing it dissolve. And I've done this with cancer, with fucking tumors, different things. And I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And at first, your logical mind don't believe it, because you're like, we're so programmed to think and see reality in a certain way. So it's like, nah, this can't be happening right now. But then they'll go to the doctor, they come back and be like, yo, I don't got cancer no more, whatever. You know what I mean? So I had to learn how to deal with the energy, but also not take on the energy. And that's the biggest thing with anybody that's doing healing work. A lot of healers die very young, you know, because they take on so much stuff from people. So there's times where I would take on things from people. Like I remember I was dealing with one dude who had Parkinson's, and it was such an intense healing. The next day, my whole back was in legions. You know what I mean? I was feeling fucked up. So it was like, I had to learn not to take on people's energy. I'm not saying I totally mastered it, but there's times where I'm really in that lane. And like my teacher from Mexico that taught me about the serpentine medicine, he had like something going on with his lip. So I was like, yo, if I go in a trance, I could help you with that. You know what I mean? So he gave me some DMT to smoke. And next thing I know, this Mayan god comes over me. So I see the feathers and all that. I'm speaking in their language. You know what I mean? And next thing I know, something tell me to smoke again. And that's when I do this mudra shit, and it opens up like to this next dimension, which was like triple dark blackness, right? And at the end of this darkness, it was like a Baphomet type figure, like some classical demon looking motherfucker, right? So something told me to go through it with no fear, no attachment, nothing. So I went through it, and it was like an initiation of some sort, because like as soon as I snapped out of that vision, it's like me and my teachers, I like gave dap. It was like he already knew that I passed the test. And at that point, that's when I was learning about transmutation. So taking something that's negative and transmuting it, turning it into something positive. So that's where they teach you a certain way to breathe, a certain so long of holding a breath, all these different things So when you take out a disease out of someone, or you take out some type of entity out of someone, it won't be hold on to you. You know what I mean? Which is a deep science too.
And that's what's so important about guiding these people who are coming into their, for lack of a better word, awakenings through social media. Because of social media, they have to know these things. They have to be guided. You have to know where to get your knowledge from,
Right.
because you cannot know that. Someone cannot teach you
Right.
about not absorbing someone's energy, and actual practical, real life, physical things that we can do to help us.
Well, yeah, we had a lineage though. You know, it's like even Baba Kalindi was showing like that. You know, you had the Panther lineage, all these different lineage. Even in case you're talking about the Leopard clan and all this other stuff, you always had a lineage of people to pass down this sacred knowledge. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that you can't do it. There's some people that learn through trial and error, but you know, why go through some mistakes where you could have somebody be like, hey, you might not want to go down that path right there, bro. You know what I mean? You could avoid some of that shit. You know, so that's the difference between the woke community now and the lineages of the past. Because, you know, like I spoke upon them OGs in the community, you know, I remember cats would give us books to read, going to the library, actually putting in study, scholarship, you know what I mean? Whereas now, a click of a button, you're watching a video, and now you're just gonna regurgitate what the next man said on social media, you know what I mean? So there's a difference between wisdom and just information, you know what I mean? There's a lot of people that just information driven, you know, because it's now, you know, instead of really absorbing that, what you're learning and applying it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So what's some advice to the potential that is watching this video and really resonating with your saying and wanting to learn more so bad? And I can speak to that personally. I'm from Kentucky. This type of stuff is not popular, and if it is, it's amongst white folks. I just don't want to learn from them. That's just my personal opinion.
Right.
So where do we go? What do we do? Who do we trust?
We do what we're doing right now. You know, this psychedelic conference. This is like, the beautiful thing is that at least one thing is, like we saying back in the day, might have by chance find somebody that's on some conscious stuff. But now it's more easier than ever.
Search a hashtag.
You know what I mean? Now and from there it's like using your intuition and your discernment. Because, you know, you have a lot of people out there that are saying they about this life and they're not. So it's like now you have to use that real gut feeling, be like, let me cipher this out. Let me look at this person and see if he or she's worthy of my time that can help me with on my life path. You know what I mean? But this is it right now. Like, you know, I look at this as a reunion. Every time I go to this conference, it's like you see so many brilliant people from around the world that are coming together, people of color, to support each other in our journey, you know? Not one man or woman has all the answers. It's crazy. It's like we all have these different pieces of the puzzle, you know, and we're coming together and we're sharing, you know what I mean? And we're learning together.
Building community.
You know? That's important, you know? Wow. So yeah, that's really important. But it's like, for the people that want to learn, it's just like, it's real easy. Go seek out these people. You know,
and seek them out physically in person.
We gotta person, not
directly connected.
And spend some time with them. If you want to learn some things, and don't expect, like, you know, you just gonna, you know, take one journey or you did one ayahuasca, now you got it all. You know what I mean? There's layers and layers to peel back on just learning about yourself. You know what I mean?
Learn that one the hard way.
Yeah, man. So,
sure,
you know, and no one's fucking perfect. I never, like, just because I'm into this life to put me on a pedestal. I'm not about that. I fuck up all the time. You know what I mean? And I'm learning through my pitfalls and shit. You know?
I had to learn, though, it doesn't really matter if other people mind that I'm fucking up. I need to make sure I'm at peace with the fact that I still make mistakes. It doesn't matter how many trips I've done, who I've talked to, who I've sat with. None of that matters.
Right. And then in the long run, it's like, what's really a mistake and all that in the bigger scheme of things. It's like the sister that was here earlier. She's like, yeah, I would never take any of my experiences in life back, because it was like it got me from where I'm at right now. You know what I mean? So that's wisdom right there. You know, but at the time, it's just a lesson. You know, it's a lesson. It's like, damn, why I have to go through this shit right now. No one likes it, but it's still a lesson. And I believe at the end of the day, this is definitely a place for us to learn about ourselves, this dimension here. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's interesting.
It is. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time.
No doubt.
Is amazing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we just building, man, and it's good. I you know, we gotta think about the babies. Right. You know, we gotta think about these next generations, because even like Barbara Kalindi said, like this AI and all this other stuff, it's gonna be interesting before it gets, you know, to where we have to go. You know, so we're dealing with a whole nother beast system right now. So we gotta step it up. Like, we really do, you know what I mean? So I think that's important. You know, it's good to have fun and all that, but we gotta have focus too. You know what I mean? So that's important.
Thank you. That was